He's here. Welcome to a universe. Relle.
Welcome back into the Relle universe and welcome back to Relle from the Pot. Today I want to start with a little story, and it begins with a sentence that hasn't left my mind for months. If you are so sure, burn the ships. The phrase burn the ships comes from the story of Hernán Cortés. And when Cortés arrived in Mexico with his men, many of them wanted to go back. The land was unknown. The risk was huge. Going back felt safer. So he ordered the ships to be destroyed. Some say they were burned, others say they were sunk. But in the end, it all came down to the one thing. There was no way back. No plan B. No worst case, we just sail home again. Only one direction. Forward. Burning the ships means you want something so deeply. You are so sure it's meant for you that you are willing to go all in on that decision. There's no returning to the old version of you. And because of that, you show up differently. You work differently. You make decisions differently. And that's exactly where I want to start in this episode. I hesitated for a long time before I actually quit my full-time position and started selling, closing, letting go of my other companies. I stood at the crossroads for so long, repeating the same question in my head. Should I really leave? On one side, there was security, a fixed income every month, the structure I had asked for one point in my life, and the responsibility as a managing director for employees, clients, projects. And on the other side, there was something I couldn't push down anymore. Relle. Me, my business, my dream, my life elixir. The vision of a life where I don't just function, but where I actually feel like myself. For years, I lived in this tension. I wanted to be the best mom, 100% there for my girls. I wanted to be the best managing director, 100% responsible in my job. And in between, I slowly lost sight of myself. I kept trying, push a little harder, organize a little bit better, perform a little more. Maybe I can do both. Full responsibility for someone else's company and on the side, build my own dream business. The honest answer is no. When you really want something, you have to be willing to let go of the other things so you can fully focus on this one thing. So you can pour all of your energy, your time, your creativity into exactly that. One thing that runs through my life, when I burn for something, there is no plan B. Not this, I will half-heartedly try and if it doesn't work out, oh well. It's more, if I decide with my whole heart and my full focus. And still, it took me a long time. And I say this very honestly, to finally be ready to take that step. Because there were all those voices. You should be grateful. You have a secure job. What if your little business fails? You can't just leave after all those years. What about the kids? What about the money? Maybe you recognize some of these sentences. Maybe you can hear them inside your own head right now. At some point, it hit me. Resigning wasn't easy. One day, this was the job you prayed for, the company you dreamed of, the people you grew attached to. And then there comes this moment where you have to decide, do I stay here or do I finally choose myself? And it's not like those other companies or those years were bad. Quite the opposite. I learned so much. I grew professionally. I met people who became an important part of my journey. And at the same time, something shifted. Not overnight, but slowly, quietly. When my second daughter was born, something inside me changed. The way I looked at my life, my time, myself. I realized the way things are right now, this cannot be my forever. It felt like I was giving away a small piece of myself every single day, just to fit into a role that looked so good from the outside, but felt tighter and tighter on the inside. In your 20s, and honestly far beyond that, you will probably end up at least once in a job that drains your soul, dims your light, and makes you question your own life. And as important as gaining experience is, it's just as important to eventually leave that job. I was no longer in my 20s, but the energy was the same. I was in a job that gave me so much in the beginning and that at some point took more from me than it gave back. The responsibility, the pressure, the expectations, especially my own, brought me to a point where I was only functioning. Throughout this whole time, I held on to one thought that felt like a promise to me. The same gut who gave you the business idea will give you the clients too. Just do your part. And that's exactly how it feels to me. Yes, I am responsible. Yes, I have to do my part. Show up, work, learn, sell, create. But I don't have to control everything. I can trust that there's a bigger timing, a bigger plan than just my spreadsheets and to-do lists. I'm recording this episode about 3-4 months after quitting, and I want to take you honestly behind the scenes. I was scared, really scared, of my bank account, of the question, what if it doesn't work? Of the moment when people might say, see, told you so. I haven't regretted leaving for a single second, not one. If I regret anything, it's that I didn't do it earlier. I am blooming in a way I haven't in years. I wake up in the morning and think, wow, this is my life. I actually get to do this. I feel creative again, alive, connected to myself. The first clients came before I even felt ready, before I ran big marketing strategies, before my social media was perfect, before everything was done. People found me. Inquiries came overnight from places I never expected. And that for me was the clearest sign. When you truly choose your path, life starts choosing you too. From the outside, quitting looks like a piece of paper, a formal process, a simple decision. Inside, it's something completely different. You say goodbye to an identity, to a chapter you worked hard to build, to a title that meant something to your ego, to an environment that shaped you. For me, it was also saying goodbye to the strong managing director who has everything under control, the woman who proves she can do it all, career, responsibility, motherhood, the version of Relle who always functions. And then one day you are standing there, no business card, no title, just you, with your idea, with your dream. That's raw, that's honest, and it's wildly brave. Leaving a career after investing years of your time, energy, and identity into it. Not because you are too weak, but because you can feel it no longer makes you happy. It's never fair. It's self-respect. Most people don't have the patience to commit 3 years to building their own business, but they somehow have the patience to work 10 years for someone else, even if they feel empty every Monday. When that really sank in for me, it hit hard. How wild is it that we hold on to things that keep us small, but struggle to give a few years to something that could actually make us come alive? I started asking myself, Do I want to keep investing my patience into someone else's vision? Or am I finally willing to invest it into my life, my business, my dreams? When someone asks, what if your business fails? My answer now is, guess I will get a normal job like you. Remember, the worst case is already your reality. I say it with a wink, not to shame anyone in a 9 to 5. There are amazing jobs out there and plenty of people truly love their full-time position. And that's beautiful. For the ones who are sitting in a job right now that steals their light, make them sick, keeps them small, the so-called worst case is usually just this. You go back to the life you are already living now. That's not the end of the world. It's not a cliff. It's a step back into an old chapter, but it's not the big dramatic ending you fear wants you to believe it is. For me, the whole job topic feels a lot like relationships. When you meet the person and you know that's my person, you don't need 20 years to be sure. You feel it. And it's the same with your job, your calling, your business. You know when a chapter is over. You know when you've already moved out internally, even though you still show up every morning. Just like in a relationship, at some point you have to be honest with yourself. Is this still serving me and my life, or am I only staying because I am afraid of the unknown? I know it's a privilege to be able to quit a safe job. Not every woman, not every mom, not every family has that option in the same way. I didn't take this step lightly. I did the math. I talked it through. I took deep breaths. I was worried. What about the money? What about security? What about my kids? But there was something bigger than all these fears. The thought that one day my children might grow up with a mother who did everything right and was completely empty inside. A mother who didn't follow her own dreams or quietly gave up on them. I wanted my girls to see a mother who is true to herself, who is brave, who trusts her own path. The truth is, Relle could never have become what it is becoming now if I had stayed in my old work reality. Not because the environment or the company were bad, but because my focus was torn. I could have never poured this level of energy, creativity, and depth into Relle while still giving all of my capacity to someone else's business. Only when I burned my inner ships, the safe harbor, the fixed salary, the family role, did I create the space to give everything to my own business. And the crazy part, the answers started to show up. Clients showed up, opportunities showed up, not because I was perfect, not because everything was ready, but because I had decided. If you are listening and there's a part of you thinking, wow, she's talking about me right now, then that's not an accident. Maybe you are in a job that makes you tired. Maybe every Sunday night feels heavy. Maybe you already know deep down, this is not my path anymore. I'm not here to tell you, quit tomorrow. What I do want is to tell you this. Take your inner voice seriously. Stop making yourself small just because you think you should be grateful. Allow yourself to dream, even if you don't know yet how it's going to work. And then ask yourself, what would my first small burn the ships moment look like? Maybe it's finally writing down your business idea, talking to someone about your dreams, looking honestly at your finances, signing up for a course, having a real conversation with your boss, or giving yourself a clear date by which you will make a decision. Looking back at the last few months, I can say it hasn't always been easy, but it has been right. I burned the ships behind me, and for the first time, I feel like I'm truly coming home to myself. And if you need to hear this today, you don't have to know everything today. You don't have to be ready, but you are allowed to take the first step. And if this podcast is your first little spark, then it's doing exactly what it's meant to do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to yourself. And thank you for having the courage to turn your own light back on.